Good afternoon. This is Dr. Dave again. Last night when we had our discussion, I mentioned that APA is an important aspect of this class in your writing. So I'm doing this short video to help you out. I actually have an example. So I'm going to post the video and the example up under last night's session so that you can find it and use it. This is an exercise that I give my undergraduates in my other classes to kind of give you some examples. Probably 90% of your writing for an undergraduate class, this would actually help you understand APA if you do it correctly. That'll keep you from going to Purdue OWL, but if you have other stuff that I don't cover, well, you're going to have to look it up. So I think this should suffice for most of your papers. So let's use this short video as a way to supplement something I would normally do in a face-to-face class, but we'll try it here. All right, so here we go. We're going to launch. And the first thing I did was cut a page from a paper that I wrote. And it has some examples in it that are illustrative of what you might do when you're writing your projects up, your post, your PDF or Word files. So the first sentence, the term WMD was used throughout the Cold War era by Soviet forces. Now notice that I used a quote there, quote, Cold War era by Soviet forces, unquote. Anytime, excuse me, anytime you use a quote, you must have a page number. You must have a page number. Well, what happens if it's an online source? You shouldn't be using those. You should be using some helpful peer-reviewed articles. If you have to, then you count the paragraphs, you use the paragraph symbol, and you put that in there and the number of the paragraph. You can look that up on Purdue OWL. So here we see the name of the author, just their last name. You never, ever, ever, ever use first names in an APA style. So we got bracket, comma, 1996, comma, space, P for page, period, 3. Notice that the period goes outside of the bracket. This is the correct way to do a citation for a quotation. Now, citations are what we have in the text. References are what we have at the end. Okay? So, a little further down in that paragraph, I do a summation, a synthesis sentence. In fact, since its inclusion into everyday political rhetoric, both the United States and international community have begun the task of further developing and operationalizing this amorphous concept. So here we see people have been doing it for years, but we start with the newest. That's Burke, 2001. Then we have Hogenboom, 1997, Herbie, 1992, and Birch and Flowery in 1991. Okay? So that is the proper way to use multiple authors and synthesize all of what they have down to one sentence or in one paragraph. This is called a group citation. It's used quite often in your writing. Now we see something else. Perhaps the most widely accepted definition holds that WMD are nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. Legally, United States Code, Title 50, yada, 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 state that weapons of mass destruction means that any weapon or device that is in a, You see that long quote. Now, look what I did here. As found in Ackerman, Duvall, Davis, and Smith. We don't use the word and, we use the ampersand. 2000, page 12. I did not go to the original author, or in this case, a legal citation. I found it in another book. This is how you can quote another book. Okay? So there, if you have to, you do this and you use it. Why? I'm not a lawyer and I didn't really know how to cite at the time about legal things. And I've learned that since then, but this is how I did it at the time. And this is an old paper of mine. All right, so there's another example that can help you in your work. And then it does go down and look again. Now here, I talk about two things. So it says similar definitions are used by law enforcement agencies like the FBI, international organizations like the UN, and many other interested parties. So I start with Ackerman et al. I had already used it once with the 4 authors above. So after that, I can do et al. And then I have the FBI. But notice that the years change. I go UN and I go Europol. When you have this kind of complex sentence, you have to parallel construct your references, meaning the first 2 go to the FBI, the third one goes to the UN, and the fourth one is an example of those other agencies. Okay? So you might have, under those circumstances, some different dates. They're not in, oldest or newest to the oldest. All right. Last thing I want to show you is an example of what is called a paraphrase. Burke, 2001, suggests that to be proactive in yada, yada, yada. Now, I am taking in my own words and summarizing an article. And so to do that, I don't have to put a page number. I can do it this way. This is called a paraphrase. We talked about that, or we will talk about it. I just want you to see that there's various ways: quotations, groups of references, and paraphrasing. So you don't have to necessarily give a lot of long quotes. Now, since I wrote this years ago, I have come to the conclusion that quotations are really not good to have in your papers. They really are a problem. So I've reduced those till about 1 per page for most people, or 1 per paper. Okay, so there's examples, and I explain them. These should get you through most of what you do. If not, then you can look it up on Purdue OWL, the APA website. If you just type in APA electronic, I think it is, it'll show you. Any search engine should give you the APA, but the Purdue University OWL, Online Writing Lab, OWL. It is fantastic, very helpful. All right, now, references. Look at these. They are double spaced. That's what this means. The second or third line is indented. So under Anderson, the second line is indented 1 tabulation. On the second one, the 2, line 2 and line 3 are indented. There's an example of a journal article. Notice that it's all under lowercase except the first word. And then the name of the journal is italicized and it's uppercase. 154 refers to the volume number. The page numbers are just listed for the numbers that correspond to the length of the article. No first names. No first names. We use their initials in the reference page. So I don't know if A.K. Anderson is male or female. And that's the reason why APA does that. They did a study and they found out that people quoted the male authors more often with the assumption, the gendered bias assumption, that male authors do a better job on their research. So they stopped adding first names. And that's why. All right, so we see the same author, A.K. Anderson, added some other folks to a long list, and it lists all of them. These lists are from the article. The first author, in the exact same order that you'd see in the article. First author is the first author here. After that, they go in the order that it's listed. You'll also notice that Anderson, Anderson, then bracket, then bracket, then Calvo. It is in alphabetized order by that first author's last name. Okay, so the second one is another journal. The third one is an example of a book. The book is titled Holy Terror, Armageddon in Tokyo, and it was produced in New York by Witherhill, the publisher. Now, sometimes a publisher will list 5 or 6 cities all around the world. The first one is the one you use. Okay, there's another article right below that. There's another article below that, the Calvo. And then I had the Purdue OWL. So Purdue OWL can be retrieved from https://owl.english.purdue.edu/owl/resource anyway. You can find it easier. But if you need to, you can just click on this and it'll launch. Okay. The whole point is they need to be alphabetized. They need to be in the right order. They need no first names. They have to have the right format, which means any sentence or any title of an article should be lowercase except for the first word. But the journal is a title and it should be capitalized and italicized. If it has a volume number, you put that in there, but you also put the pages. Sorry. I hope that that's helpful. I wish you good luck on your papers. And this is just one of those, one of your classmates said, it's like a TED moment. Okay, I don't think I'm that smart, but this is a little cheat sheet, if you will, that can help you with APA. All right, that's it. Short and sweet. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day. Use this on your papers.